You know, actually the most valuable thing in my studio isn't all of the equipment that is in here, not my laptop, not the speakers, not the microphones, also not the display or the keyboard. It's all in... Hey guys, it's already past noon. I had an important business meeting here in this building. An old friend actually offered me a job that would solve all of the financial trouble and problems, but would probably also mean that I would have to stop making music. So for now we're working more on doing music for advertisement and these kind of things. And while I'm already here in the city center, it's of course time to pick up Vanessa and just grab lunch with her. So we just booked the flights to Miami and New York. Just look at Vanessa's smile.
May, yeah.
May, yes. So in May we're in the US. I hope Trump still lets us in. We both have German passports, so let's hope he doesn't get into a fight with Angela Merkel. You never know. Yeah. This guy is crazy. And because I'm in such a great mood, I'm allowing Vanessa to choose where we're going to eat. I don't even have to ask, I already know where we're going. You also know where we're going?
Yes, I do.
I think you also know where we're going. I think this burrito, rice, vegetable, chicken thing this counts as healthy.
Yeah. But not the gummy bears.
This sliding door is the biggest fail ever. How long is this already going? 2 months? 2 months, and they didn't repair it. It just opens like this. And there are like a million people going in and out a day. Is there sometimes a line?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
I have to check out if they have any of these suction cups for the camera.
Es gab die von...
Ja, wahrscheinlich für GoPros und so, ne?
Ja, aber die halten halt nicht unbedingt so eine Kamera.
LCD-Monitor. Hier, 5 Zoll. I just spent way too much time in that camera store. I tested 4 different cameras. There are 2 that are very interesting and I'm thinking about switching, but I'm still not really sure. By the way, whenever you get off these trams, you have to look to your right. Some cars are just passing by. I'm finally in the studio. This meeting this morning kind of killed half of the day, so I think I won't start with new music. Just do kind of a maintenance day, taking care of putting all of my finished tracks onto the hard drive, going through my samples and selecting the ones that I don't need and put the ones that I need and used on my tracks into my Jon sample folder. While all of the data is transferring, I'm playing just 1 round of Super Mario Run. It's still kind of fun, but I wish Nintendo would one day get Zelda Ocarina of Time onto an iPhone. This would be the day where I would stop making music for an entire week and just do let's plays and play the entire game. I would probably just need 2 or 3 days. It's really my favorite game of all time. Yes. No. And that's it. It would be a whole lot of fun to do a let's play maybe just one day for fun, but I'm not sure which game actually to pick. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Next up, I actually want to measure my room again. I didn't do it for quite some time and I've moved things around in here. The speakers are not really in the position where they used to be, so taking care a bit of the acoustics here in the room. And to be able to measure the room, I of course need my measurement microphone. This one is, I think, the Behringer ECM 8000. Besides of this mic, you will actually also need a software called Rumicue Wizard, and with it you can measure the frequency response at the sweet spot of your studio or home studio setup. So this right here is the sweet spot. The mic should be exactly on ear level. I think that's okay. When you hit start measuring, it makes this sweep throughout all of the frequencies. The mic here is picking it up and then comparing the sound of the original sweep to the sound of what the mic picked up, and the difference of those two is actually the difference that the room is making to the signal. And this graph is showing you what's going on in your room. Of course, here in the very low end there is nothing, because also my speakers can't even go here below 30-40 Hertz. But the rest is kind of okay. It's almost like a straight line. You will never get it perfect, but this is as close as you can get to perfect. You know, actually the most valuable thing in my studio isn't all of the equipment that is in here, not my laptop, not the speakers, not the microphones, also not the display or the keyboard. It's all in this room. Building this room that has these acoustic properties is probably twice as expensive as all of the equipment that I own. For example, the back wall is actually 1 meter deeper. The ceiling is actually, I think, yeah, also almost 1 meter higher. So I had to build in another ceiling, and there's a ton of absorbing material in here. And that's what I always say: if you spend money on outboard gear or anything like that, it's just pointless. You need to be able to actually hear the difference these very expensive outboard things are doing, and without the room where you're able to listen or to hear these differences, you're kind of throwing all of your money out of the window. And that's the reason why I always say the room is more important than the equipment that you're using. For example, the monitor speakers are all built really good. They all have high quality. If you buy studio speakers for 200 euros or for 5,000 euros, the difference is still a lot smaller than the difference your room makes actually to the sound. You always have to keep that in mind. No matter what you buy, no matter what cable, no matter what outboard gear, the weakest link in the chain is always the sound waves traveling through the room. So before buying any new fancy equipment or even thinking about buying new equipment, get a measurement microphone, measure your room with the free software, and then you will be able to see what's actually going on in your room and really see how bad it actually is when your room is not treated. So before anybody of you just even tries to think about not believing what I'm saying, I will prove it to you. I've opened up here now Logic. I'm opening a plugin that is within the utility folder. It's called just Test Oscillator, and it's generating, for example, right here, just a sine wave. You can switch it to pink noise, square wave, needle pulse, and white noise. That's so horrible. I will generate a white noise, record it internally, so the original white noise as it is, and then a second round recording the white noise through the microphone. Audio input 1. Okay, everything is set up. The white noise is killing me almost, so let's record it. Okay, I think that's enough. Whoa, what a relief. Here at the top is the internal white noise, and here down below the recording of the room. And you can already tell just by the waveform that there is a difference. But let me play you first the internal. And now the external one. There's of course a big difference that anybody can hear, but to make it really clear and obvious, let's compare those two signals with the Magic Cue. So let's take here as a reference the white noise that was recorded internally, and as you can see, it's just a flat line. You hear all of the frequencies at the same time. That's actually what white noise is by definition. Now I've picked the external for the current material, and then let's hit match, and what you see right now is what the Magic Cue has to do with the external recorded sound to match it to the internal one. So that's what the room is doing to every sound source that I'm listening to here in the studio. And this graph is really good if you do the same test in an untreated room. It can be way worse than this. If you do it in a big room, it might even improve, because the frequencies, the sound waves, they can't bounce that much back and forth between the walls. The smaller your room is, the more problems you will have. So you can just try out this test for yourself in your studio. You can also, if you don't have a measurement mic, just use a normal one. This might not be as accurate, but just to get a general idea where your room is lacking certain frequencies, you can run this test either with the Magic EQ or just use the Room EQ wizard. You might also get lucky and just have a room that is kind of perfect or good, where you don't have to do that much, but there are still the reverbs that you have to get under control. For that matter, you will need absorption, a lot of absorption. For the low end, even more absorption. So yeah, just get a whole lot of absorption before you think even about buying the next equipment. It's so crucial that you can actually hear what you're doing. There's just no point in doing like 1 or 2 dB EQ changes if your room is making 5 or 6 dB of a change. And I know there are a lot of people that think without the room you can still get a great mix. That's possible to some extent. It's still a lot harder. You always have to think about what your room is actually doing to the signal. So for example, you might know that whatever you mix in your studio sounds way too bass heavy on all other systems. So you try to produce everything with a bit less bass. You could also get a room EQ correction software. There is one called ARC2 that I actually also used for half a year where I was living in Berlin. I just didn't have the possibility to build a real studio there. And it's kind of okay. It's still not really good, but it's better than nothing. It's kind of putting a Magic EQ that tries to cancel out whatever your room is doing at the end of your mastering chain. There is one more thing I want to tell you before getting back to work. You can look up online all of the frequency responses of speakers. These are the frequency responses that are tested in a lab without any room around it, and you can compare the frequency response of very cheap speakers and very good speakers, and you will see the difference isn't as big as the difference that your room is actually applying to everything that you hear. So before spending money on outboard gear, any fancy stuff, please get your room fixed. It's by far the thing that will get you the furthest in making music. And believe me, without a doubt, if you get your room fixed, you will mix 10-20% better just the next day, the next track you start. And if you get used to the new sound, I think there are 30-40% possible, depending on how bad your room was actually before. So really get your room fixed before doing anything else. Tonight I'm just an hour late, and I can guarantee you Vanessa already planned the entire US trip.